I like to sing Joni Mitchell songs to Goldie as I put her to sleep. You might have heard her singing just a few seconds ago. She's in the congregation this evening. She loves service 1, so she sings out. She's in the back with my mom. And I digress. I like to sing Joni Mitchell songs to Goldie as I put her to sleep. Having taken a years-long break from listening to her music, I started listening to it again at the end of my pregnancy, and so Ladies of the Canyon and Blue and Both Sides Now are what Goldie hears as she drifts off. I must also add that we sing her the Shema before bedtime too. We don't miss an opportunity to lovingly nudge her towards Judaism, even at 4 months old. But at home, a bedtime Joni Mitchell song is our quiet, secular hymn. Singing Both Sides Now in my sweatpants with my baby, I feel the most myself. Well, at least until I walk onto this bima. Here in this pulpit or upstairs in my office, I am the most myself too. And this part of my identity has a different melody than the one I sing at home. Being an instrument of Torah, a master of our cantillation systems, and an arbiter of our musical traditions is the role of the cantor. With the exception of Kaddish, everything that we do in our tradition is chanted. This is one of the most incredible aspects of our tradition. Music and text function as one. By the 10th century, how we chant Torah, our cantillation, was systematized by the Tiberian Masoretes, a group of scholars in Israel and in Babylon who standardized both the pronunciation of biblical Hebrew and our trope systems. To the cantor, the Hebrew is beautiful, yes, but its depth is characterized by its cantillation. Where in a word the symbol falls dictates how the word is pronounced. The symbols also act as punctuation, separating out a sentence, a clause, or a phrase. Most importantly, the trope or te'amim add layers of meaning and interpretation to the words that they embellish. The word for trope in Hebrew, te'amim or ta'am, literally means flavor. The Torah, without cantillation, is like a meal cooked with no seasoning. It still sustains us, but it acts as a necessity instead of an experience. There's one very rare trope mark called a shalshelet, which in Hebrew means chain. It's more complex than any other trope marking that we have. It sounds like this. Shalshelet. Kind of complicated, right? This trope symbol is drawn out and it feels non-committal. The shalshelet is unsure of herself. The shalshelet appears only 4 times in the entire Torah. And like the nature of the symbol herself, she only appears in moments of existential crisis or confusion about identity. The first 3 times that we see the shalshelet are in Genesis. The first time is when Lot, settled in Sodom, is told by 2 visitors to leave because God is about to destroy the city. Lot hesitates. The word for hesitates, vayitmama, has a shalshelet trope mark above it. Lot is torn between the life that he had built there with his family and the deep sense that these visitors are telling him the truth. The second shalshelet is found when Abraham asks his servant, Eliezer, to find a wife for his son, Isaac. The commentators teach us that Eliezer was unsure of his commitment to this task. If Isaac did not find a wife and have children, Abraham's estate would eventually pass to Eliezer and his children. He chooses between loyalty to his employer and the potential wealth of his descendants. This struggle merits a shalshelet. The third shalshelet is in the story of Joseph as he works in Potiphar's house. Potiphar's wife tries to seduce him, and the text says that Joseph refused. Over this word for refused, vayima'en, is a shalshelet. So he refused, but it was a difficult choice. Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks explains that Joseph's shalshelet, his inner turmoil, was not just him resisting the temptation to sleep with Potiphar's wife, but much deeper, a crisis of identity. Rejected by his family, was Joseph to uphold the values of his Judaism, or should he give in to the environment in which he finds himself? Is he a Jew, or is he an Egyptian? The fourth shalshelet is in the book of Leviticus, in this week's parsha, Tzav. God commands Moses to instruct the Israelites to build a sanctuary, and in Parashat Tzav, Moses is to install his brother Aaron and his sons as priests. He offers Aaron priestly garments, anoints him with oil, and performs the necessary sacrifices. Over the word vayishchat, which means and he slaughtered, there's a shalshelet. The placement of this trope tells us that Moses is in crisis here, but the context is not obvious. What is existential about this scenario? Moses is performing a ritual sacrifice, a commonplace behavior in temple times. Rabbi Sacks explains that until now, Moses has led the Jewish people with Aaron functioning as his right hand. At this moment, Aaron is to take on a leadership role in his own right, elevated further in the community and no longer acting as his brother's aide. Aaron would now be responsible for the goings-on in the temple and take on a role that was meant for him alone, not for Moses. Moses' struggle is his obligation to induct his brother into a role which he will never undertake. Not only is this a mandated release of control, but also a painful acknowledgement that along with Aaron's role comes familial legacy, a gift that Moses will never receive. Aaron's descendants will become priests, but Moses' children will not follow in his footsteps and become prophets. The shalshelet marking is one that forces our biblical heroes to reckon with who they are. It connotes an inner struggle, and each time, the character emerges stronger than before. My maternity leave ended about a month ago, and every day I see my role as the cantor through new eyes as I hear my own little shalshelet. Goldie is at home, and when I'm apart from her, I miss her deeply, and I think about her constantly. Another truth is that without my job and my role as the cantor, during my maternity leave, I felt like a part of me was missing. I've been fundamentally changed by the event of having a child, so I bear the weight of these two parts of my identity constantly. They vacillate between complementing each other and competing with one another. Each of us face struggles of identity, and the shalshelet sounds, but without these crises of the soul, we can't ever affirm the core of our identities and choose again and again who we want to be. The questions that our ancestors struggled with continue to ring true for us now. Like Lot, so many of us become comfortable in spaces and in relationships that hold us, even though we know it's time to leave. Like Eliezer, we face moments where we could choose personal gain over loyalty, weighing the easy path for ourselves against a more difficult road that brings someone else along. Like Joseph, so many of us are asking ourselves these days, am I an American or am I a Jew? Which of my identities should dictate my behavior and my feelings? Like Moses, we are happy for those that we love, but we feel a twinge of sadness that they have what we do not. To truly be the best version of ourselves, we must be willing to name when we feel torn, when we are in two places at once. Examining these crises requires courage, but these difficult moments guarantee that we surface with newfound strength and a deeper understanding of who we are. So, in this season of my life, and as we enter springtime, I hear a shalshelet. When you hear yours, I hope that you take comfort, as I do, in knowing that 2,000 years of Jewish wisdom teaches us that these moments mean new growth. Can you hear Ratzon? Bows and flows of angel hair and ice cream castles in the air and feather canyons everywhere. I've looked at clouds that way, but now they only block the sun. They rain and snow on everyone. So many things I would have done, but clouds got in my way. I've looked at clouds from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow it's cloud illusions I recall. I really don't know clouds at all. Tears and fears and feeling proud to say I love you right out loud. Dreams and schemes and circus crowds. I've looked at life that way, but now old friends are acting strange. They shake their heads, they say I've changed. Well, something's lost, but something's gained in living every day. I've looked at life from both sides now, from win and lose, and still